All right, you beautiful humans, what if the biggest financial milestone isn't becoming a millionaire or even hitting those lovely six figures, but it's your first $10,000? Now, I know it sounds small, I get it, but hitting $10,000, that is when everything starts to shift. It's your mindset, your habits, and your confidence. So today I want to walk you through exactly why that first $10,000 changes everything and how to get there faster than you even think. Now, starting with the psychology of it all, like reaching $10,000 might not sound like much in a world of YouTube videos of how I made $1 million or more than that. I totally get it, but here we are. But crossing five figures, well, that is actually a mental unlock that builds on itself. There is something very powerful about seeing four digits start to turn into five. It's not just the numbers on a screen, it is proof to yourself that the whole wealth building thing, it is actually possible for you. And Stanford psychologist Albert Bandura called this self-efficacy. So your belief in your own ability to reach a goal. So once you hit that 10,000, suddenly you're starting to save 20,000, 50,000, and even thinking about saving 100,000, it doesn't feel so impossible anymore. And here is where that magic happens when it comes to momentum. So let's say that you save and invest $1,000 a year with an average of 10% return. Now think about it this way. Your first 10,000 earns just $1,000 in a year. Yeah, that doesn't seem like a big deal. But what happens is you reinvest that. So then your next gain is $11,000, not just 10. So that's how the snowball gets bigger, even if you don't add more snow yourself. That is the power of time and patience. So getting to your first 10,000, that might take 8 years, but then the next 10,000, that only takes 4. Then the next 10 after that, less than 3. And then you start thinking about how can I accelerate this even quicker? Because your money starts finally working for you. That's compounding, and it's the engine behind every wealth story that you have ever heard. And many of us probably do know that Warren Buffett didn't make most of his money until after the age of 65. And many of you might say, like, I would rather just kind of take my foot off the gas after that. And that's totally understandable. But it's just the example that compounding takes time to warm up. But once it does, that momentum starts to feel like you're cruising downhill rather than always pushing yourself uphill. Now, of course, the emergency cushion is $10,000 buys something most people never talk about, and that is peace of mind. So big here. Most emergencies, like your car breaking down, a medical bill, a job loss, these can usually be handled with about $1,000 to $3,000, and yet 59% of Americans can't even cover a $1,000 emergency. But with $10,000, let's say in the bank, high yield savings account, you stop living paycheck to paycheck. You stop panicking every time life happens, and that peace of mind frees up mental energy to focus on your health, your relationships, or your next career move. And as a nurse, I will say, I have seen how stress from money spills into people's physical health. High blood pressure, sleep issues, and even chronic illnesses that start to flare up. Money isn't just financial, it is psychological. The emergency fund isn't just a buffer, it is a pressure valve. And this is where you may currently feel, or you realize, like once you've actually reached the point, that it sounds like it's an unfair advantage, because this is the thing that is wild. The risk stays the same, but your reward increases dramatically. So let's say that you invested $100 and it earns 10%. Well, you only made 10 bucks. Okay, big deal. But if you invest 10,000 with the same risk, well, that's $1,000 in return. So same effort, same time, same risk. But because you stacked your first 10,000, you have now unlocked this supposed unfair advantage. Your money is starting to work for you. And when it comes to freedom and you're choosing better, when you're broke, every decision is based on desperation. The cheap shoes, the cheap clothes, and hey, I am all for thrifting, and inexpensive doesn't necessarily equate to cheap. So again, I love thrifting, and you can find some great quality stuff there. But a bigger one in my book here is cheap groceries. So whatever gets you through the week, but is it really getting you through the week? Because I will tell you that from clinical experience, if those cheap groceries are lacking the nutrition that you need, you will pay way more later. And that is not savings, my friends. But with $10,000, you start to shift from asking, okay, what is the cheapest option to what is the best value? You can afford better quality because you've earned some breathing room. And this is when money stops becoming a stressor and it starts to become a tool. Now, here's the part that most people start to miss, and the habits that got you to $10,000 are way more valuable than the money itself. You didn't luck your way into saving that much. You tracked your spending, you cut back, and you showed up. And those habits, they're the same ones that will take you to 100,000 and beyond. And the thing is that we like to think that we make financial decisions with pure logic, but most of us run on habit loops, good and bad. So you get triggered by something like a paycheck hits, a bill is due, and you just follow a routine, and then you get a reward, whether that's peace of mind or just the dopamine hit of avoiding stress. The trick is to hack that loop so that your default routine builds wealth instead of draining it. And here I think is really something that is massive, and the biggest change after $10,000 is your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who is bad with money. You start seeing yourself as a saver, an investor, and someone who builds. You may start to think more about how you can scale more from your career, making bigger money moves and shifting away from how you can save $5 and instead think about, okay, how can I make 25 or even 50,000 more dollars here? So again, bigger mindset shift. And that identity shift, it creates a feedback loop. You trust yourself more, you make better choices, and you start thinking longer term. And that's when the internal dialogue starts to change. And you're not saying, I hope I can get ahead. You're saying, I know exactly how to get ahead. Because again, this subtle shift, you've got the data to back it up. And so now you're operating from belief and not just hope. But here is the real takeaway. $10,000 doesn't make you rich, but it does make you dangerous in the very best way, my friends, because once you have proven to yourself that you can build this, there is nothing stopping you from building way more. Let me know in the comments, have you hit your first $10,000? And if so, what changed? And if you are not there yet, that is okay, because again, we're not comparing ourselves to others, and the rising tide is raising all of those boats. So that's what we're doing here in this community. As always, I appreciate your time here, and until next time, I will catch you right back here on your next level up.